Hey, welcome back to Same OT. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 things I wish someone had told me before I attended my first Jehovah's Witness memorial. So the first thing I wish someone had told me is that it's not a holiday. It's not a celebration. It's not like the Jehovah's Witness version of Easter. And so going into it, I personally thought that it was going to be like just a Jehovah's Witness version of Easter or First Sunday if you grew up in a Baptist church like I did. But it's none of those things. It's very solemn. It's very scripted. You're pretty much, the great majority of the people there are just passing a symbolic bread and wine, and very few, if any, will even partake when that's supposed to be the reason we're there, to do towards evening meal or last supper or what have you, in remembrance of Jesus' sacrifice for us. So I wish someone had told me that it is nothing like Easter or Resurrection Sunday, or, any of those things that many people who grew up not Jehovah's Witnesses are kind of used to, especially this time of year. Number 2, you may feel like an outsider. I remember going to my first memorial. I feel like I was dressed appropriately. I wore something that I would wear to church, but they were like cranberry red knee-high boots, cranberry red shirt, black and red skirt, came to my knees. But, the looks I was getting is like, you don't belong here, right? You don't belong here. So even though you oftentimes hear of witnesses love bombing people when they come to visit, sometimes, at least in my case, I feel like if you're a woman, the vibe might be a little bit off. I definitely got a lot of looks, from head to toe. And so it was a little bit off-putting. And I wish I had kind of known that. Not saying that I would have dressed any different or behaved any different. Like I say, I definitely was respectful of their place of worship. But you could tell the vibe, a few people obviously spoke and things of that nature. But wasn't nobody really trying to come and get too close. So number 3, I was really surprised with, which is it's the memorial of Jesus' death, right? So why is the sermon, or as I know it's called now, the talk, is focused more so on JW doctrine and protocols, right? And how they do things. And so again, comparing it to my upbringing, like I say, born and raised in a Baptist church, attended Catholic elementary schools and high schools, that time of Easter or the resurrection, you hear nothing but Jesus, his life, his sacrifice, his good deeds. And so it was very surprising that it wasn't the same kind of vibe. If this is the memorial of Jesus' death, especially when witnesses are inviting people, they always say that because they feel like Jesus is how would I say, that's a draw. That's something that'll draw people in to come and say, oh, they're talking about Jesus. I'm a Christian, or, I'm a follower of Christ. Yeah, I'll come to this memorial and see how it is, And so I think a lot of people will find it surprising that a good part of the talk and the activities are not really centered to the life of Jesus, right? In the things that he will want his followers to do. It's more so bringing you back to, basically, how can you, become associated with us more closely via a Bible study. Now, number 4 is the doozy. Number 4 is how I got pulled into the Jehovah's Witness religion. So I believe that the memorial is, how can I say this? It's a big recruitment event, as well as maybe a reactivation event. And so what I mean by that is that if I had known that by attending the memorial, I'm pretty much setting myself up to be asked if I would want a Bible study, um, versus just like, coming to a, Easter program and then you go home. Sure, the church will say, we love to have you back or what have you, but they're not about to put on this full, campaign and all this follow up and return visits. It is what it is. But that's what the memorial, in my humble opinion, is really designed to do. Is to help reactivate inactive ones, maybe ones who are have faded a little bit. It's a way to get those ones back in the fold, right? And then innocently unknowing people like myself to come and basically be recruited. And so that's why I think they make such a big deal about the memorial, the memorial, the memorial. That's why you have grandmamas, granddaddies, aunts, uncles, parents, sisters and brothers that will jump for joy if you are, someone who was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, or, even if you wasn't and you come, they jump for joy because it's a big recruitment event, reactivation event. And so, yes, if I had known that, and this is why I'm making this video, this is something people should be aware of, that the intent is to continue to follow up with you. So be careful, be leery of accepting a Bible study, or if, I don't know if they still will come and drop magazines off, because then now you'll be a return visit and they will pop up periodically at your home. So this is number 4. And I wish I had known this before I accepted that invitation to attend. And so number 5, number 5. So number 5 is what I was raised to call it was communion, right? We did on first Sunday. I was raised Baptist. I want to say when I was in elementary school, they did require that we attend mass, a few times a year. But and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments can let me know. I think Catholics do communion like once a week. I don't think they do it every mass, because I think they have mass during the week and stuff. I'm not sure. It's been a long time. And I, didn't remember everything. Like I say, it was just part of the requirements for attending when I was in elementary school. But number 5 is the partaking, right? The way I was raised, those who take the bread and the wine, even if you weren't baptized, by you taking it, it symbolizes that you believe in Jesus' sacrifice, right? You are a believer, even if you didn't, get baptized. So nobody was, looking at you crazy or being like, questioning you, or are you baptized before you take that bread and wine, ma'am, sir? It wasn't like that at church. It was almost like if you didn't take it, people would be like, they got a little devil in them? Is they a heathen? Yeah. So when I was told, so I was given a heads up right before it started and was told not to take it. And I'm like, but why? And the person who invited me really couldn't explain it. He grabbed a brother to try to kind of explain it, but then the brother said, listen to the, talk, and then if you still have questions afterwards, we'll, do it. So again, going back to what I said earlier, I'm a respectful person. I understand that everybody is different and things of that nature. So I'm not one of these people like, well, in my church, because we ain't in my church, so I'm not going to do what I would do at my church. If y'all say don't do it, all right, I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. I'm just here, trying to be nice. Sorry, y'all. I thought I had cracked my other phone. Anyway, if you didn't know, Jehovah's Witnesses believe in 2 different hopes. They have a heavenly you have those who have a heavenly hope that they refer to as anointed, and then they have those who have an earthly hope, who are of the great crowd. I believe that's the correct terms. And so what that means in regards to the memorial is that only those who believe to be anointed and to be part of that 144,000 that's supposed to go to heaven and rule with Jesus up in the heavens should be the ones taking the bread and wine. So what that means is, especially going all the way back to when the Jehovah's Witnesses kind of formed and were called Bible students and things like that, that number of who's partaking of those emblems, right, the bread and the wine, it should be dwindling, right, especially with them saying that the end of times and things of that nature. So my thought is, why can't everybody still take it? If you're supposed to be a believer of Christ, a follower of Christ, why wouldn't everybody still take it? And my belief is because as much as Jehovah's Witnesses like to make it seem like we're all one, we're just all one people, one, they're not. It's a lot of us versus them within the organization, in my opinion. So you have the anointed versus the non-anointed. You have publishers versus, unbaptized publishers, versus the pioneers, versus the missionaries, versus the Bethelites, so it's still like a tier system, and so I just think that it's really strange. And I think had I been told prior to arriving to the Kingdom Hall that I was not allowed to take the bread and wine, because these people, based on their beliefs, say that I don't have a heavenly hope or what have you, yeah, I just would have been like, what kind of mess is this? And so these are just some things that I was thinking about, that had I known prior to attending my first memorial, I probably wouldn't have went, right? I probably wouldn't have went. And had I not gone to that memorial, I wouldn't have been offered a Bible study. I wouldn't have started to study. I would not have had my questions and doubts and concerns. What's the word? Not taken serious, being constantly, in my opinion, I feel like low-key bullied, and just told to just allow yourself to be, brainwashed and believe all the things, even if they don't make sense, because we can't give you a good answer to these questions, these, critical thinking questions that you're asking. And so people have to be very mindful. The memorial is a tricky little service. It's a tricky little service. And so I hope that this video reaches someone who may be considering going. And at least now you're going in with a little bit of a game plan, because now you'll be on alert to watch for these things. And if this video is found by someone who attended, but maybe things just didn't seem right, it hopefully will validate those feelings that you may have. And so we know that this is a special time for the witnesses, and they'll dress up and, they'll post about it and things of that nature. And it's so weird because it's like the one thing they do get to, celebrate, I guess, if you want to call it that, but it's not really a celebration. Like I said earlier, it's, in my opinion, a recruitment and reactivation event that they do once a year, and they just kind of using Jesus' name and his, for lack of a better word, his legacy to draw people in who don't know what the real agenda is, which is to convert you to be a Jehovah's Witness and follow all their rules and don't talk back. That's just what I think. But anyway, that's all I got for today, y'all. I hope you're having a great day. And until the next video, I'm out. Peace. Am I the only one that when you read Nissan 14, you instantly would think of Nissan, the car? Oh, it's just me. I guess I'm silly like that.